What's good, y'all? Welcome to New Progressive Era. I'm the host, Drake Hunt, and it's a pleasure to be here with y'all on this fine Friday. Your boy's coming to y'all a little late, man. I usually do these things in the morning, but I had some meetings with Sunrise. I do storytelling practice with them, man. I try to work on my public narrative, being able to tell stories and really be able to connect with, just trying to like have common empathy. I think it's incredibly important to work on your ability to tell stories, work on your ability to connect, work on your ability to put together a narrative about yourself, where you come from, and bringing agency to people, getting them to act. So that's really what I try to work on with Sunrise. I do storytelling practice with them about once a week. I'm also putting together a little project with them that should be coming. It's in the works. Y'all just tune in for that. I'm gonna tell y'all and plug it on the channel. Um, but yeah, man. So that's what I was doing this morning. So I'm coming to this a little late. I'm gonna put out some clips from Wednesday's show that I didn't put out and the full show, and I'm gonna put out clips from today. I'm only doing 2 stories today, but it's all about right wing buffoonery, and most importantly, how we can capitalize on right wing buffoonery. So y'all, you know what I'm saying? Y'all just tune in, y'all just chillax, man. Before I get into this, I just want to say I'm gonna plug my Instagram. Instagram is the new home. We're putting out good stuff on Instagram, little clips from the shows, like 2 minute, 3 minute spills of me just ranting, me telling the truth and speaking truth to power. So if y'all support that, man, hit your boy up at Drake8 with Drake with an 8 Hunt on Instagram. That's really where the main stuff is happening. But we also post full shows and full clips on at New Progressive Air. That's the channel's page. So again, hit your boy up on Instagram. That's the new home for New Progressive Air at Drake Hunt and with an 8 and at New Progressive Air. That's really how you're gonna help the channel grow. Reality is for YouTube. Again, I'm a post on YouTube. I'm gonna post the full shows and whatnot. But the reality is, it is incredibly hard for your brother to grow on YouTube. YouTube does not prioritize with its algorithm smaller channels like mine, especially left-leaning channels like mine, left-leaning platforms like mine. So it is incredibly hard to grow solely on YouTube. So it's incredibly important that y'all hit your boy up on Instagram at Drake with an 8 Hunt and at New Progressive Air. Also on Twitter, we're gonna be more active on Twitter. I've been tweeting out little things here and there on Twitter recently. So hit your boy up on Twitter as well at New Progress Eric. Gonna be posting clips, gonna be posting good little, content, news, whatnot at New Progress Era on Twitter. And most importantly, man, this is really how you help the channel grow too. We got the Instagram and the Twitter, but how you really help us grow is on Patreon. www.patreon.com/New Progressive Era. If y'all can just hit the $3 option per month or the $5 or $10 option per month, you're really going a long way to help us grow, man. I'm a small, you know what I'm saying? I'm a small dude, small platform. Like I ain't big like that, man. And if we're gonna get the equipment necessary, the tools necessary to help us grow, we're gonna need some financial support, man. I'm about to be a college student, literally going to New York in a couple days to get settled over there, man. So I'm gonna need the help, man. But what I love the rawness of this, man. I love that we're not big, and I love that we don't have to worry about advertisers and sponsors and whatnot. We can just come out here and get the content. We're gonna try to keep that going. But for us to really get big and really reach new voices, I'm gonna need support. So hit your boy up on Patreon. Hey, that's my spiel, man. I plugged all the stuff I need to plug. So again, Instagram, Twitter, I'm leaving the handles right there, and at New Progress Air on Twitter, and the Patreon. Hit your boy up on Patreon. $3 per month if you can, but also $5 and $10 per month. You get exclusive content, shenanigans and whatnot behind the scenes. All right, I plugged it. Let's hop into the show, man. We got a short little show for y'all, man, about right wing buffoonery. So just enjoy, man. First, we're gonna dive into Ben Shapiro. So Ben Shapiro uttered verbal diarrhea the other day when he decided to go out there and seriously say with a straight face that empathy is bad for politics. I don't even. We're not even gonna get into debunking it. Just go ahead and watch the clip, and then we'll discuss.
Okay, there's only one problem. Okay, empathy is actually kind of bad for politics. The reason that empathy is bad for politics is because it leads you to empathize with people that you are more likely to like, as opposed to people you don't like. Okay, so first of all, the pitch for empathy is actually, there have been several books that are written on this, social science books, talking about how empathy is not actually the best thing for politics. It actually almost deactivates the reasoning centers of your brain. Because when you're empathetic, you don't actually create good policy. This doesn't mean that feeling sympathy for people is a bad thing. It means that if empathy is what drives your policy making, you're probably not acting in a rational fashion. But the real goal here is, of course, not to generate empathy. The real goal here is to suggest that if you disagree with the idea that America is systemically and institutionally racist, you are not an empathetic person, and therefore you're a bad, cruel, and callous person. Right? The idea is that empathy is really about, it's really a moral statement about what kind of good person you are. And you can't watch baseball until you say it along with Morgan Freeman. You can't. You can't just watch a game and be distracted, which is the goal of sports.
What? Dude, Sometimes I wonder when I'm watching these types of clips from these just right wing buffoons, whether it's Ben Shapiro, whether it's I can include Jordan Peterson in that category, whether it's Steven Crowder, whether it's any of these right wing politicians. It genuinely crosses my mind that maybe they don't even believe what they're saying. Because how could you? You know what you just said was BS. That empathy leads you to only like-minded people. Drop the water bottle. That empathy only leads you to like-minded people. That's not the premise of empathy. The premise of empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes who may not come from the same vision as you, come from the same background as you, come from where you came from, but your ability to look at someone who may not come from where you came from and say, hey, I empathize with you. I see your struggle. I see what you're going through. And maybe we can find some type of common ground. That's the whole point of empathy. I don't understand. And then the idea that it's bad for politics, that it takes away your reasoning. No, 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 no. Empathy allows you to look at the working class and the working poor and the struggling factions of this country, regardless if they are black, white, brown, regardless if they're Muslim, Jewish, Christian, regardless if they're straight or gay, woman or man, whatever. And you're able to say with empathy that maybe they deserve a living wage, that maybe they deserve a Green New Deal and a jobs program, an investment, tuition-free college, Medicare for all, an agenda that gives them equal opportunity, that gives them a chance at success in this country. That's what empathy provides you. That's what we're working on here on the progressive side. Empathy. And sometimes it may go too far, right? Sometimes with some of the rhetoric, it creates, right, sectionalism, right? It creates this type of tribalism. Sometimes that's where empathy drives you because you are so focused on creating liberation for those oppressed groups. I understand that part of it. But the reality remains that empathy also drives you to see that we need collective liberation. Empathy is the one thing that makes a good politician, a politician that fights for the people. That is why you're a heartless asshole. That is why you don't support a Green New Deal. That's why you don't support Medicare for all. That's why you don't support an agenda that works for all of our people. Because you don't have empathy, because you're working with logic and reasoning, because you cannot for 1 second put yourself in the shoes of a single mother struggling to feed her family. Put yourselves in the shoes of someone who has never received a chance in their life, never got a fair shake by this system, and is forced to enter a life of crime, and is forced to do things that they have to do, basic things, terrible things that they need to do to survive. You can't put yourself in the shoes of people like me or people like my family who are living in communities, oppressed communities, struggling every day to get a fair shake in this system. You can't for 1 second put yourself out of your elite bubble and put yourselves in opposition. That's why you're an asshole. That's what's wrong with your politics. And most importantly, that's why you're going to lose. That's why you're going to lose because you don't have empathy, Ben. You don't have empathy. You're an asshole. You're stuck in your bubble with your head up your ass and you can't see the struggle. You can't see the pain. You can't see that in the middle of a pandemic, we gave trillions in a bailout to the corporations, and that's a problem because they gave us crumbs, because they gave the small businesses crumbs, because they are allowing the moratorium on eviction to expire today. And they're sitting on their ass, twiddling their thumbs, jerking off in their basement, and not doing the basic reforms that are necessary to save lives, to save finances, to save families from economic destruction and slaughter at the hands of this virus. That is why. That is what's wrong with politics. Lack of empathy, not empathy. And what's beautiful about it is that most people aren't like that. Most people aren't assholes. Most people have empathy. We're human beings. We're human beings. We're sentient beings. We have the ability to look at someone's struggle, most of us at least, and say, hey, maybe I can for 1 second put myself in that position. Maybe I can for 1 second see and imagine what it's like to not be able to feed your family, what it's like to live in generational poverty, what it's like to live in a ghetto, what it's like to struggle, what it's like to not know where your next meal is going to come from, and the desperation that comes from that. What might drive you to go out and kill someone? What might drive you to go out and rob someone? What might drive you to go out and join a gang and sell drugs and do things that they demonize and go out and burn a precinct when someone of your skin color is squashed by the knee of a cop? Over and over and over again, we are oppressed at the hands of this system. Over and over and over again, we are oppressed at the hands of the system. And empathy allows you to see the need for true progressive change. That's what you're lacking, Ben, and that's a problem. It's a serious problem. That's why you're an asshole, and that's why you're a dying breed. But the silver lining, as I said, is that most people aren't running from that. Most people are not operating from that perspective. Most people aren't operating from this lack of empathy. We need to prioritize reasoning, logic, and the war of ideas. Most people aren't operating from that. Most people can look at George Floyd's life being squeezed out from under him and say, maybe that's a systemic problem. Most people can look at people struggling to survive and entering a life of crime because they need to feed their family and say, hey, maybe they need investment. Maybe they need a Green New Deal. Maybe they need Medicare for all. That's why we're going to win, Ben. That's why progressives are going to win out in the war of ideas and you aren't, because most people are not like you. Most people aren't emotionless assholes who are stuck in their elite bubble and can't for 1 second see out of it with their head up their ass. Most people aren't like that, Ben. Most people are everyday schmucks. Most people are struggling to feed their family and pay the rent. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck in this country. And at the end of the day, we're going to win out because we're going to strike a chord with that common empathy. We're going to strike a chord with that common struggle, and we're going to bring all of them together. We're going to bring the blacks together. We're going to bring the whites together. We're going to bring the labor movement together, the climate movement together. We're going to bring the black rights organization together, the immigrant rights organization together. We're going to bring all of them together behind an agenda that works for our collective liberation. And you're going to be sitting on the sidelines wishing that you were on the right side of history and not on the wrong. So fuck you. Fuck you, Ben Shapiro. You're an emotionless asshole and you're a political dinosaur. You may be young, but that ideology that you're preaching, it's aging. It's dying. What's going to win out is empathy. What's going to win out is a heart. What's going to win out is collective liberation. I believe that to the core. All right, man. I said my spiel. I said my spiel. I hate stuff like that, man. I hate people who can't see out of their elite bubble. That's what's wrong with politics. That's what's so wrong with politics. They can't see out of that bubble. People like Ben Shapiro can't see out of that bubble. People like Donald Trump, people like Ted Cruz, even many of these establishment Democrats, they can't see out of that elite bubble. They don't see the struggle. They don't see what we're going through. They don't see the fact that 30 million people today are about to lose the essential lifeline necessary to feed their family. That today, the moratorium on evictions is expiring. Today, bro. Today, the moratorium on evictions is expiring, and Congress is twiddling their thumbs. People ain't gonna take it, bro. People aren't gonna take it anymore. They're not taking it anymore. That's why they're taking to the streets. That's why the Wide Awake protests sponsored by Sunrise are gaining such traction. That's why we had a strike for Black Lives on Monday, where tens of thousands of workers across the country marched out of their job. Fast food workers, frontline healthcare workers, transportation workers, Amazon warehouse workers, they marched out of their job because they are struggling and working for starvation wages and cannot feed their family. That's why. They're not going to take it anymore. That's what's wrong with politics. Lack of empathy, lack of understanding, stuck with your head up your ass, not seeing our everyday struggle. And what's going to save us, Ben, what's going to save us, you emotionless asshole, is empathy. What's going to save us, Ben, is progressive change. When we strike a nerve, when we strike that common empathy nerve where you can see that we are all going through the same struggle, the blacks, the whites, the working class, the Latinos, the Native Americans, the Asians, the gays, the straights, women, men, anything in between, we're all struggling to survive. Empathy is what's going to bring us together to topple this system. Empathy is what's going to save America. I believe it. I believe it. You're a dinosaur and you're dying. And fuck you. A nice little ending there, you feel me? I like that. Fuck you. I like that. Fuck you. I hate Ben Shapiro, man. I hate his guts. He's such a nut job. So is Ted Cruz, so is Donald Trump, so is Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden. They're twiddling their thumbs. Let's get into the next story. They're twiddling their thumbs, dude. They're just sitting around as people are dying. This virus is taking over the nation. This pandemic kicked millions of people out of their jobs and about to kick millions of people out of their homes. They're just sitting around. So sad. So this next story here, man. Republican Congressman Louis Gohmert. Louis Gohmert, he's a storied nut job. been in the news for just absurd, ridiculous claims. I can go down the list. We're not gonna, because this is arguably the most egregious. So he put forward a resolution on the House floor calling for the Democratic Party, including in other organizations and symbols, to be banned from Congress. Now, I'm going to get into why this is so ridiculous. You can probably already see, but I'm just going to give you the full context here. So, first, let's go into what he's actually saying. He put forward a resolution banning organizations or political groups that have historically supported the Confederacy or slavery in the United States. A list, he said, that includes the Democratic Party. Quote from the Hill. Now, why is this so stupid? Because today, the federal moratorium on evictions is about to expire. They halted evictions for 4 months in the CARES Act. For 4 months. But people are still struggling. A third of families did not make rent at the start of the month. A quarter of families in the largest city in the country have not made rent since March. 12 million households, according to some estimates, are about to be kicked out on their ass because this moratorium on evictions is expiring. Today, the moratorium on evictions is expiring. They are no longer protected. People who have not made their rent in months are about to be kicked out on their ass. Kicked out on their ass. Where are they going to go? You going to stay with your auntie? You going to sleep on the streets? You going to go to the shelters? What if they're all booked? What if they're all booked? What if your house is abandoned down the street, but you got to sleep on the street? If you got to sleep in the cold on the street while your house is abandoned because you couldn't make rent, because the government wasn't there, the government abandoned you. The government abandoned you. Imagine how that's going to look for the tens of millions of people who are about to be kicked out on their ass. How's that going to look? What are they going to do? They're going to be scared. They're going to be angry. They're going to be confused. There's about to be chaos in the streets because we abandoned our people. Our elected officials are abandoning our people. More context for you. At the end of the week, the lifeline protecting 30 million Americans who were kicked out of their job because of the pandemic, that's about to expire. That's about to expire. The extended unemployment benefit, $600 a week, that's about to be cut. Gone. Where's it going to go? Where are those people going to go? What are they going to do? They ain't got a job. Cases are still surging across the country. We're still pushing for reopening. Meanwhile, we haven't gotten a handle on the virus. We're top 10 in the world in cases per capita. Meanwhile, the rest of the developed world has gotten a handle on the virus. We haven't, in the richest country in the history of the world. And those people kicked out of their jobs, where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? What are they going to do with that frustration? What are they going to do with that fear? All those people sleeping on the streets, what are they going to do? All those people who can no longer feed their kids, what are they going to do? Tell me, what are they going to do? Meanwhile, while all this is occurring at the end of the week and today, tens of millions of people are about to be thrown into economic desolation. And you're introducing legislation to ban the Democratic Party. You're grandstanding. This has nothing to do with, oh, I wanna get rid of symbols of hate. You know damn well it has nothing to do with that. This is grandstanding. This is you making the point that Democrats are going too far with the culture war. Who gives a fuck about the culture war when people in your district cannot eat? Who gives a fuck about the culture war when people in your district are starving, when they can't feed their kids, when they're sleeping on the street? Who cares about the culture war, Louis? Who cares, bro? Who cares, Mitch? Who cares, Nancy? Who cares? Why are you sitting twiddling your thumbs when today millions of people could lose their home? What is wrong with you, dude? And that's the thing. They think they're not going to pay. They think they're not going to pay for this. They genuinely believe they're going to get away with this, that they can continue this. They can continue with the rhetoric about the statues. They can continue the rhetoric about banning the Democratic Party and introducing a little payroll tax cut. Or your number one priority in this entire package, meanwhile, as tens of millions of people are about to be kicked out of their homes, your number one priority is liability protections for huge corporations. You think you're going to get away with that? You giving us crumbs and giving them, the corporations, trillions? The richest Americans run away with $500 billion in wealth over this pandemic. You think you're going to get away with that? Abandoning the working class while we're sleeping on the streets? While people across oppressed communities across this country can feed their kids, you think you're going to away? You think you're really going to get away with that? What is wrong with you? Oh, you have another thing coming. Those George Floyd protests about to look like a Candyland stroll. They're about to look like a little trip with your family to Disney World. They're gonna look like little Mickey Mouse ears flapping, giving your kids a little hug. That's what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look like a paradise compared to the shit fest that's coming if you don't handle this crisis. If you don't implement a UBI, if you don't nationalize the payroll, if you don't give the small businesses the aid they need, if you don't give the child care centers the aid that they need, if you don't give the schools the aid that they need, if you don't provide for your constituents, you really think you're gonna get away with that? Nancy Pelosi sitting on your ass while the Republicans are giving us crumbs. You think you're gonna get away with that? Mitch McConnell giving us fucking crumbs. Ted Cruz advocating for giving us nothing. You think you're really gonna get away with that? Louis Gohmert in the middle of a crisis, taking away airtime, talking about banning political parties and banning symbols for as a little stunt for grandstanding and attention. You think you're gonna get away with that? As tens of millions of people can't feed their kids. Are you serious? No. Here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna burn this shit to the ground, or you get your act together and fight for real reform. That's what's gonna happen. The Overton window, the little crap that they could get away with before, pre-COVID, it's done. It's not gonna happen. There's a reason why tens of thousands of people walked out of their job on Monday. That didn't get mainstream coverage, but they did. Tens of thousands of people walked out of McDonald's, walked out of Amazon warehouses, walked out of transportation services, nurses walked out, and 60 labor unions sponsored an action walking out of their jobs because they are sick and tired of this shit. There's a reason that a black man's life was squished out under the knee of a cop, and people the next night came out and burned down a precinct, burned down Minneapolis, burned down cities across the country. You think that's gonna look like a fucking cakewalk? That's only the beginning. This crisis is becoming a huge fucking snowball and it's burling down the mountain. And the only thing that can save us from utter chaos and us burning down this country is you getting your act together. But will they? Maybe not in time. That's why it's on us. That's why it's on us. They don't care. They're sold out to the donors through and through. They're in that bubble, the veils over their eyes. They don't see this shit. They genuinely think they can get away with this. So it's on us. It's on us. We have to be the change. We have to get involved. You have to join movements and organizations fighting for real change. You have to make calls for progressive champions. Alex Morse is running. Ed Markey is running for re-election. Got Shahid Buttar over there trying to unseat Nancy Pelosi. You have progressive champions fighting. Mike Siegel down in Texas. You have champions fighting. You have champions trying to get in here and create real change. You have it. You have the opportunity. We can mobilize today for a general strike to get their attention. We can bring hundreds of thousands of bodies onto the lawn onto what the fuck am I saying? We can bring hundreds of thousands of bodies out to fight for real change in a general strike, mobilizing as a march on Washington. We can do actions like that. We can organize strikes. We can organize protests. We can organize demonstrations. We can even organize a fucking riot. We can do whatever we have to do to get their fucking attention. We can do it today. We can do it today. We can grab headlines today. We can grab their attention today. We can make them listen today. But it's on you. It's on me. It's on all of us. You can't just sit around anymore, bro. The stakes are too high. Today, 12 million families could be kicked out on their ass. Today, the lifeline for 30 million people who lost their job is gone. Today. I'm not kidding, bro. It's not an exaggeration. Today. So you have a choice. You can mobilize and fight for those people who are being abandoned by our government. You can sit on the sidelines twiddling your thumbs, just like the people in power. I say different. I say do different. I say be better. I'm trying to empower y'all. I'm trying to inspire y'all. I'm trying to get you out there fighting. You can join Sunrise with me. There's wide awake actions where they went to Mitch McConnell's house protesting for justice. We can organize. You can join the people protesting for a billionaire's tax in New York. We can all come together and march on Washington, bringing out thousands and thousands of people calling for a Green New Deal. We can do that today. But it's on you. It's on you. I can't make you. Nobody can make you. Nobody can make you share this clip to your friends and family. That's on you. You are what's going to save this country. You. Not just me, not just Bernie, not just AOC. But it's going to take all of us coming together fighting for real change. That's what's going to save us. Otherwise, people are going to burn this shit to the ground regardless because ain't nobody taking this shit no more. So let's create real change. Let's create a movement that they can plug into, voice their frustrations, and create real change with it. That anger, that frustration, that fear, that can be our vehicle that powers us to victory. but it's on me and you to make that happen. So join today. Join the movement today. DM me about where to go. I got you. We can do this. All right, that was fiery as a motherfucker. Shit. I'm sweating, bro. Probably because I got this hot ass jacket on, but your boy feels empowered, man. Your boy feels good today. I'm gonna end the show on this. This world's gone to shit. This world's gonna. It's not just America, you know. We always. I'm here in the U.S. here, you know. So I talk about American stories, and the crisis is far more egregious here in these states. But this is a global pandemic. It's a global crisis. Global inequality is reaching historic levels. It's reality. But what I'm seeing is incredibly hopeful shit, man. When I see people coming out amidst all this mainstream media BS and propaganda, and they're no longer taking this shit, I think it's hopeful. It's really hopeful when you see my generation becoming activists. They may not always be fighting from the most broad of scopes, realizing that there's a root of the problem that they need to be talking about, but they're out there, they're fighting, they're talking about justice. It's on us to give them a movement that they can plug into. It's on us. Share this clip. Share this clip. Repost. Hit your boy up on Instagram, Twitter. Uplift other progressive voices as well. Cal Kalinske, Crystal Ball, Humanist Report, David Dole, Sunrise Movement. Join. U.S. Youth Climate Strike. Join. Movement for Black Lives. Join. You can do that today. You can uplift this movement today. But it starts with us, man. It starts with us. The movement's coming, bro. So let's plug in and let's make this shit fucking happen. Let's make change happen. We can do this. I really do, man. I see hope. There's no one out. You're not alone. That's what I want you to see. You're not alone. You're not alone in this. You're not the only one out here calling for justice. You're not the only one out here calling for peace, calling for liberation of all of our communities. You're not the only one out here fighting for that. You're not alone in this dark fear that you will never be able to feed your family and live a life of dignity and respect. You're not alone in that. There's plenty of other people out there who are fighting for liberation for all of our communities. So let's come together. Let's fucking come together. Let's make this happen today. Create a new progressive era today. Let's do it. Let's fucking do it, man. The stakes are too high to sit on the sidelines anymore. The stakes are too high. 12 million people could be kicked on their ass in the coming months because of inaction today. The stakes are too high. It's time to mobilize. It's time to fight right now. With that, I'm out. It's your boy Drake. Hit your boy up if you need to know where to go to plug in. I got you. Hey, follow your boy at Drake with an 8 hunt on Instagram, at New Progressive Era on Instagram as well, and on Twitter at New Progress Era. And hit up the Patreon so you can help this platform grow and keep getting content like this. Till next time, man, it's been your boy, Drake Hunt. I'm out, man. It's been a pleasure. Peace.